again, my dudes, this is Kadima back with one more build video for Elden Ring. This time we'll be using the status effects to boost our damage, and in particularly the poison effect. But poison won't be the only thing we'll be using here with this setup. Let's take a look at the build. For our main weapons, we'll be using the Hoslow's Poison Petal Whips. Not one, but two. And if you take a look at the passive effects of these two bad boys, both of them will cause poison bleed of 132, but also a blood loss of 69. And what will we be using for this? Of course, we'll be using the Poison Flower Blooms twice, scaling with poison. The weapon itself comes with bleed when you add the poison, and with 60 arcane, this just get a massive passive effect of poison and blood buildup. For our secondary weapon, we'll be using the Poisoned Hand. We are not going to actually use it that much. It's mainly because of its passive effect, which says that it raises attack power when poisoning occurs in the vicinity. So when you are fighting bosses or fighting through the enemies, every time you get poison to proc, just switch the Petal Whip from your left hand to the Poison Hand, and then you just have to spam the Poison Flower Blooms twice, and you'll be doing an extreme amount of damage, not only because of the boost from the hand, which now is in your left hand because you swapped weapon, but also because we have the Mushroom Crown, and the effect of the Mushroom Crown is, again, raises attack power when something nearby suffers from poison or rot, and also because we will be using the Kindred Rot's Exaltation, which says poisoning or rot in the vicinity increases attack power. So we'll be having not one but two, three items boosting the damage, particularly when it comes to poison. But to boost it even further, we are having the Shard of Alexander, of course. We're going to have the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia because we will be spamming that attack, and we also, when we use the whips, the attacks are in quite quick succession, so, and again, another boost to the attack power. And of course the Shattered Stone Talisman, which raises the potency of kicking and stomping skills. Now the Poison Flower Blooms twice is a kicking ability, so that gets boosted even further. But to take things to a whole new level of damage, we are also using the Rakshasa armor for the chest and the gloves. But for the legs, I decided to go with the Divine Bird Warrior Greaves. This particular Greaves, as you can read, the sharp talons increase the force generated by kicks. So we'll be having lots of boosted strength kicks. The poison will also be doing its job and chugging away the enemy's health. We'll occasionally get the blood loss as well from the whips, but why not throw rot in there as well? So I decided to mix in this already nice mix of status effects a crossbow with some lovely rot bolts. Now this setup is extremely fun to use. Let's make it very clear again, it's nothing extraordinary broken that you're gonna be the master of disaster in the game. No, it's effective, especially in PvE. The whips themselves kill most of the enemies in 2 attacks. So once the poison procs, you will actually have the boosted damage for the following enemies, and every time you poison an enemy, it resets the boosting, so you will just have permanent boosted damage as long as poison is in the vicinity. You don't want, however, to be using the Poison Flower Blooms twice against smaller enemies because you'll just be wasting FP. So just go with the whips, clear the area until you face a big enemy. When you do, just swap the left whip to the hand, and then you Poison Flower Blooms twice for ever, because you can just chug the flask for eliminating all the FP consumption and also eliminating all stamina consumption. So you can actually just go stomping with your foot, poisoning everything as you go. Now, to make matters worse, you want the Mimic with you, and you want the Uplifting Aromatic to boost everything to a whole new level when you are playing PvE. In the arena, you gotta keep things in mind. PvP, of course, people will have poison cures. That's fine. They will also have blood cures, and that's fine. And scarlet rot cures, which is also fine. But as long as you get it to proc, you will have the increased damage boost. And when it does, this is when you try to use the poison flower blooms twice. If you manage to swap the left whip to the hand, even better, because you'll be doing a bit more damage. But this skill tends to kill people immediately if it does hit properly. If you miss and you only actually hit with the impact and not the kick, it still does a little bit of damage, but it won't kill people straight away. If people are playing passively, you can always go with the crossbow, or if they're just casting spells, use the crossbow to interrupt them and build up rot as well. So the poison will be chucking their HP away slowly. The rot will add to it. If you get both to proc, their HP is just gonna go down stupidly quick, and all you have to do, to be honest, is wait unless they use the cure. I gotta say that it's 50-50. Half the people I fought do have cures, the other half not so much, but it is what it is. You gotta get lucky. For the poison in hand, now the weapon art of this thing, it's actually a tricky one to get because it requires you to grab the opponent, and let's be honest, in PvP that's never going to happen. I mean, even if you get it to happen one time, it's not a reliable thing to focus on, so I didn't even try it. I just went with the whips, and the only way I swapped to the poison hand was to do the extra damage with the kick. I never really used the hands. Feel free to use the hands if you want. I'd rather just keep going with my whips, not only because they have better range, but they also because they kinda stun and interrupt people if you actually hit at the right time. And with the poison build up at 132 in both hands, one single hit gets people poisoned every time. So if you just L1, this gets someone poisoned immediately. If you jump R1, this one actually has a big reach. It reaches further than you might think. This gets people poisoned straight away. If it doesn't get people poisoned, all you have to do is try to roll and do another one, and people will definitely be poisoned. For the bleed, it won't happen that much, but it can still proc, because the build-up is only of 69, but you are hitting with two weapons, so the possibility of getting the bleeding to proc, it's actually there as well, so why not make use of it? But enough said, let's go talk about the stats. I'm currently level 151, as you all know, vigor at 60, because we are using not only the Hakashasa armor, which increases the damage done, but also the damage that you take, so it is a good idea to have a bit more HP available. Mind at 13. It is important to have enough to do at least a few kicks before you have to refuel. Endurance at 35, because you need enough stamina to pull the attacks with both whips, and they do consume quite a lot of stamina, so you have to manage that accordingly. Strength at 14, because my character has 14 by default. Dexterity at 30, and Arcane at 60. Now, the item discovery is going to be massive as well, so if by any reason you are looking for a piece of gear that you wish to farm, this actually is a good build, because with Arcane at 60 you will have a tremendous amount of discovery. As you can see, I've got 160 discovery, and you can also boost this with items such as the Silverhorn Tender, or you can swap one of the talismans, for example, for the Silver Scarab, which raises item discovery, and it can go all the way to 250, and you should be able to farm things a little faster. So again, this build is not only used for fighting enemies, but also for farming stuff if you are in the need of something in particularly. Enough said about the build, let's jump on to the examples. I will start with the Black Knight, the usual suspect, but I have good news. I found another boss that I haven't killed, and shall be using that one going forward for all my builds, because I'm kinda tired of using the dragon. He just jumps around all the time, you have to chase him, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, so I'll rather use these two bosses now for my PvE examples and how the build performs against boss fights. And of course we'll show some duels in the arena and how I make this build work to its fullest potential. Now, as per usual, we are going to start with the Black Knight. I've got my Mimic already buffed with aromatic. I'm going to consume the flask. I'm just waiting for him to come out, and the Mimic is already on him, whipping his ass. And here I come, just getting the poison to proc, and then just double kick the guy, and third kick and he's dead. 3 kicks, it was all it took. As for the second boss, I found out that my chief blood fiend was not yet dead, so I decided to come and pay him or her a visit. So unfortunately the camera was driving me nuts, I couldn't even see her attacks, and I did panic dodge a little bit. I finally managed to get my space and to get to consume my flask. Now that I got the flask up, apply some poison. You can see the boost just procced, and it's time for some kicking. As you can see, I swapped for the hand for the extra damage, and all you have to do is spam that flower kick. Unfortunately, she does get quite nasty when she hits because she stuns, but there you go, 4 kicks later, she is dead. It's that easy. Now let's go for some duels in the arena. Now my goal here was to try to get people killed in 2 particular ways. I wanted to kick them and kill them with the kick, or if possible actually let them die to the poison effect. It was not always easy. As you can see, the proc of the poison just happened. This guy is now poisoned. He was actually hitting me from quite funny distances, but as you saw there, the kick missed completely and it did absolutely no damage. But lucky for me, he's poisoned, he doesn't have cures, so that means he's under pressure now. But how wrong was I? He actually had cures, so no pressure at all. But that doesn't really bother me. It kind of does defeat the purpose of the build a little bit, but it's the arena. Everything, as long as it's done honorably, is allowed. I am trying to keep up the pressure without giving him too much room to attack me. But he's about to find out that my whip is an absolute killing machine. GG. As for the next one, using light armor, but he's using the sunflower weapon, which is kind of a meme weapon in my opinion. It's not that great. As you can see, I have managed to hit him twice now, 3 times, still no poison. I managed to get the kick in, but still no poison, which was quite surprising for me. He must have really high poison resistance. But finally I get the poison to proc. I noticed he was gonna go for a running attack and I killed him with the kick. Perfect. Next guy, I actually fought this guy quite a few times. He's using the scythe with a crossbow for the bleeding effect, which is absolutely fine, no problem with that. I've got my own crossbow for the rot, just for a bit of extra bonus. He's quite using the quick step decently, but he's being extremely passive. He just waits for me to attack. So I decided to mix things up a little bit and not attack so abruptly. He actually managed to get me to blood loss, but I then realized, hold on, he's poisoned. I got the boost, so my crossbow bolts will probably kill him before he kills me. And they did. GG, brother. As for this guy, he was using my favorite build so far, the Nanaya's Touch with the Sword of Damnation. As you guys know, I have my own version of this build on the channel. I absolutely love it. I had to play carefully because he was actually building the madness quite high, and I was going to just consume it, but because he gave me so much space, I thought I'm just gonna put it in the inventory, in my equipment slots, so I did. So I can actually try not to be mad, which worked wonderful, because I actually managed to save myself from a tight situation. Because he wasn't letting go, I thought, okay, it's time for some bolts. He finally let go, so it's time to apply the poison. Not only to apply the poison, but remember that attack, the Ashes of War from the Sword of Damnation, it's a jump, and if you miss the jump, you get extremely exposed. So I was hoping to kick him if he actually went for it and missed. And there he is, he missed, kick to the face. GG. As for this guy, as I was fighting him, I realized he was using the new weapons that are like throwing discs with the backhand, which is fine. I do struggle a little bit against these weapons, especially when there's lag, because although you think you dodged, you didn't actually dodge, and you get hit anyway. So I decided to keep my distance, try not to cave in into the temptation of going for double whips, because he would actually get the best of me. So I kept my crossbow in my hand. I didn't manage to land those bolts, but I did manage to land a couple of hits with the whip. He actually got me with the backhand right there. But then I got the poison to proc, and once he procs, everything does a tremendous amount more of damage. So I just went with the bolts to try to get the rot. And once I got both poison to work, I just thought I'm gonna wait for this guy to die out of the poison, and that's exactly what I did. As you can see at this point, I'm just avoiding getting hit, waiting for the poison to finish the job, and there it is, killed by poison. GG, bro. As for this guy, I actually fought this guy a tremendous amount of times. He's quite good. He killed me quite a few times already. But I guess he wasn't expecting me to be using such a mean build in the arena. He's using the combination for what looks like a storm build. I'm not really sure, but he's got some intelligence and he's using some sorceries. The second one, actually, I don't understand what happened, because I did roll, but the roll did not happen. I managed to get the proc of the poisoning. I managed to kick him in the middle of his jump, and as you saw, that just did a tremendous amount of damage. It did more than 1000 damage. I actually accidentally used the hand. I didn't realize I had removed the whip from my hand, because that's not what I was intending to do. So I go with my crossbow to try to get some bolts in and keep up the pressure, trying to get him to come to me. Didn't work so well. He was avoiding most of my R1s. But then I thought, well, you know what? We are in a bit of a stalemate here. I'm going to try to get another kick. If I get it, I get it. I missed it. He went for double spells, and I thought, okay, double hit, no, kicking time. And I got him again in the air while he was jumping. Very good fight. As for this guy, he was using the Black Knight set with the shield and the hammer. I mean, I was expecting him to block and do the counter attack, but the poison will go through the shield, so I was just more interested in trying to get the poison to proc as soon as possible. So I'm keeping the pressure, and there it is. I tried to go for the kick. I failed miserably. I don't know why it did not connect, because he was actually in the middle of his jump. It should have connected just like he did in the previous fight. I was trying to get him with the rot as well, since he was poisoned. And as you can see, I just got hit, God knows by what, as I was nowhere near him. So I don't know. The connections are not always great. That hit actually hit properly. I nearly died there because I mistimed that dodge. I managed to get one more hit with the kick, although it didn't do as much damage as I was expecting. So I thought, you know what, I am applying too much pressure here. I'm just gonna wait for the poison to do its thing. And that's what I decided to do. Just stay alive, let the poison kill him, and that's how I got the win. GG. For the next one, Um, I ended up fighting this guy, which I've honestly never seen before. But he was trying to get the bleed to proc with this thing, which is not gonna go so well now that it has been significantly nerfed. So I decided, okay, you're gonna go bleed, I'm gonna go poison. All good with me. 400 damage from that single L1 hit with both whips. That's not too shabby. Trying to get a few more L1s there. As you can see, using the L1 actually uses a tremendous amount of stamina. So just look at how much it consumes. Every time the whip swings, one of the whips swings, you consume stamina. It's not two for the price of one. But in any case, I managed to finish him off with a kick, and I got the win. As for this one, this is going to be my last one. I ran into this guy which was using the Madness Spear, which is fine. I've got no problem with that. It's just, he was just trying to dodge me and it wasn't going so well. So he decided to go, of course, run around and avoid the combat. So I just went bolts in my case. He decided to go with the Ashes of War, which is fine. And I'm just gonna wait for the poison to finish the job in that case, because that's how I like to roll. In any case, my dudes, thank you so much for watching. For those of you who are new to the channel, I truly appreciate if you could subscribe and help the channel grow. Your support is very much appreciated. A new build is coming next as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching. Cheerio!